Hello and welcome to BonkTable. This is another Conquest battle report. Slowing her down for you. Today I'm playing Ben from Competent Conquest Hedgehog list again. I really enjoyed it last time, and I was kind of like, well, it's still my bag, and I didn't change anything up, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I like this list. I want to play with it more, because I don't play big bricks, and, you know, you gotta, if you want to get better at something, you gotta do it. You gotta, you know, paper to practice, repetition, and just play the thing you want to get good at. So I'm, you know, playing another game with it. I won't go as deep of a detail as I did last time I played this list, just because that was almost 25 minutes of me just talking about one list. So it isn't a huge mix-up there. And I'm playing into Cullen's Nords, who is still playing his surprise motherfucker list. I'm not going to censor that name at all, because I think it's great. So let's get on to the list. So here we go. We got the Hedgehog, and we got the Noble Lord as one of the two Warlords. He's got Best of Men to reroll 6s for Clash and Defense rolls within a bubble of 6 inches around him. It's a really good ability. I'm still having trouble with it because it's such a small range, because you have to check the character stand and not like the regiment the character's in. Like if the bubble extended 6 inches around the regiment he was in, then it would be more usable. But because it's just his one stand, it's such a tiny spot on the battlefield that it's kind of hard to sometimes get another regiment in there to benefit from it. I can usually benefit from it defensively, because as I'm running up the table, I'm getting shot with stuff, and it's like, oh, you know, you're within 6 inches of the Noble Lord, get your reroll 6s. But once you start getting offensively, it's kind of tough to get two regiments side by side like that. And that's really my one gripe with it. This army is in Relentless Drills for that support +1, so Noble Lord, he's Cleave 1, support 2. This is really just for all the other guys. He's got Attack 1, Regaling the Empire and Weapon Master, so his unit of Household Guard he has down there with 8 stands is going to be always inspired. They can never be broken, and that's basically going to get them to be Clash 4 reroll 6s with his Supremacy, and he's also going to be Clash 4 reroll 6s, so it's really good there. They're a very accurate unit, what I really like. Cleave 1 makes them a great like medium killer, and they can kind of punch up just to do how accurate they are. Armas Master just gives you +1 Clash if you have a Noble Lord in their regiment. I'm putting the Noble Lord in their regiment, so this is just all the combos kind of stacking. As well as that, they're all support 3, so I'm only losing 1 attack for all the back stands, what's still really good. So tons of attacks coming out of that guy. Then I got 1 unit of Merc Crossbow and 2 units of Household Knights. Household Knights aren't upgraded, they just took their free banners. These guys are really just running around covering flanks, getting in the way, being annoying, stuff like that. Household Knights do that job really well, especially if you don't upgrade them with anything. Like, when you look at this stat portfolio, March 7, it's good, it's fast, and get places. Then your Clash 2, that's kind of crap. Well, I'll be honest there, I hate Clash 2. 5 attacks is good, 4 wounds, Resolve 3, Defense 3 with a shield, so they're pretty defensible, because they're going to be like 4s from the front. If there's like no cleave, and then they're 3 from the side, you don't really want to get hit in the side, so if you can just slam these guys in someone's face to like pin them, they're kind of super annoying to get rid of, and people have to put in actual work to get rid of them. They do die, but when you just want to pin something and force your opponent to spend actual time and work to get rid of them, it really helps you set up for your next thing coming in to hit your opponent's regiment. So that's probably going to be one of the 3 bricks in the list. And the next brick we got is the Imperial Officer. He's the next Warlord, rapid deployment. Everyone except for the Household Knights is infantry, so everyone's getting Vanguard. He's running a Double Time and Bastion with his Tactical 1 to just auto-pass a morale check. His war band starts with 2 units of Merc Crossbow, no upgrades. Militia Bowman, no upgrades. And finally, 7 stands of Gilded Legion with a Drill Master and Standard Bearer. So this is another one of those bricks in the Hedgehog list. Gilded Legion, Clash 3 base, going up to 4. Not as accurate as the Household Guard, but because they're going to be getting Bastion and they're already Resolve 4 base, with how many stats there are, they're basically going to rarely take Resolve damage. And if you can activate them first to Defense Force, that's really good. And there's like a bajillion of them, so you can kind of just like take hits to the face. They are a little bit more survivable than the Household Guard. If these two regiments get beside each other, you're going to benefit from the Noble Lord's reroll 6s, so you can have quite the punch coming right there. Lastly, we got a Theist Priest. He's decked out as Elysium Fragment, Focused, and Arcane 1, getting with the Priest 6, reroll 2 fails, and if I need a Smite Bomb, I got a Smite Bomb. I will admit, so far, still haven't used it. It just, you know, hasn't come up. So I feel like I'm kind of playing games with this list just to, you know, get better at big bricks, but also to actually use the fucking Smite Bomb. So I can actually give it a proper opinion and judgment upon it. And so far, it's really just been like, okay, Militia, what are you doing? It's like, well, the Theist Priest is going to cast Bless on you so you can fucking hit something. And then the Militia are going to go in there and stab. And it's like, well, do I really need Smite for a Defense 2 regiment? No. Do I need Smite against an Evasion 2 regiment? No. So yeah. I'll talk about the Militia. There's 8 stands of them. They got a Servite, +1 March, +1 Resolve. That's actually really nice for them, getting up to Resolve 3, plus with the size of the unit, you're going up to like Resolve 5 until you start losing stands. Really nice there. Speed 6, they're actually quite fast with that. And, you know, Support 3, that's really nice. So, the funny thing here in this game is that I have the Theist Priest bless the... I think... What did I do? I cast 4 spells this game, or that matter. I cast the +1 defense buff on some Household Guard at one point. I cast Bless on the Militia twice, and I cast Holy Fire once. And it was really bad with the Bless because I was like, okay, you need 3 successes because the Militia are devout, because you have a Theist Priest in them. Sweet. Rolls 2 successes, spell fails. Even with the rerolls from Focus. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Next turn, do it again. Roll 2 successes with the rerolls from Focus, fails. I'm like, oh. So I don't know what it is, but I think I just have a bad time with Magic. I'm like, come on, it's just 3 successes on 6 dice with a rerolling 2 of them. Like, this should be in my favor. What is happening? So yeah, it's. I think I'm just like, I'm not allowed to have Magic. I think that's it. I think I'm just like, there's a superstition here. That's really the list. I go into much more detail about how it's played and what it's doing in the 100k versus Spires battle report. It's the one with the thumbnail where there's like a hedgehog with a bunch of spears coming out of its back. Go find that one. I think this might be 37. So that one would be 36. So episode 36. Yeah, I do like this list. I like a lot of what's going on with it. I like how it's built. My big gripes are, as I mentioned before, Best of Men being range 6 from the character stand. Maybe I gotta get good. I find that kind of sucks. My other gripe is Elysium Fragment. Still haven't used it, but that's not really a gripe. That's more like I want to get it off at some point and see how it does. And so far, I just haven't had the opportunity to do so in the games. And that does happen, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe at one point I will get that. But for that, let me slow roll the rules for you. Pause the video at any time. If there's a rule you see and you want to read more about it, that's for you. Alright, there's my rules. Let's go look at my opponent. Here's my opponent's list. Once again, it's called Surprise Motherfucker. Still think it's funny. He is trying to use the Jarl Warlord Surprise Attack Supremacy. Let's scroll down really quick and find it so we can just read it off, because I know a lot of players don't really use it that much. There we go. All friendly infantry regiments gain the Opportunist special rule, as well as add +1 to their attack characteristics when performing a clash action against the flank or rear of an enemy regiment. Furthermore, light regiments with a character stand currently attached to them can seize territory. This supremacy ability is always considered to be active, regardless of whether the character stand is currently on the battlefield or has been destroyed. Really nice. The surprise attack where the light regiment with the character stand can seize territory, this actually came up. So what happened was, at one point in the game, I believe there's a unit of stalkers with a blooded warlord, or not a blooded warlord, but a blooded in them. And the blooded wasn't on the zone, but because of surprise attack, the stalkers who were still counted as scoring. So that was like, oh, okay, well that's happening now. Sweet. So it does come up, and that's kind of how it works. I don't believe I give my opponent any flanks to charge into, or if there was flanks, my opponent didn't do it. Because, you know, they had better stuff to do. But it kind of shows why people view this supremacy maybe on the weaker end of, like, there's better Nord supremacy, like the blood supremacy of auto flanking in 2 guys, the shaman supremacy of putting 2 things with this vanguard, like mountain Jotnars, like you can get your brutes and cav and monsters with vanguard still really strong. Like, why people kind of tend to drift towards those ones compared to this one, because surprise attack is very much like you got to set yourself up to use it, and if your opponent doesn't take the bait, you don't get benefit from it, unlike other supremacies. So it kind of goes back to the Supremacy podcast episode where we're like, yeah, it's good and it'll do work, but also you just have better options in Nords. And the last time I played against this list, my opponent side charged me a lot. In this game, they didn't do any of it at all because I just didn't give them a side. So yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a catch-22. Like, I feel if you're gonna outplay your opponent, surprise attack is gonna be really good, but on a more equal footing, there's probably better supremacies that you want to grab that are just gonna do more work for you. That's my opinion about it. So, Jarl, he's got Dragon and Wolf. I believe Dragon gives him +1 attack, Wolf gives him like +1 clash, or the either or. Broken Blade gives you cleave 1, tactical 1 through 3, so he's gonna be flanking. He's going to be sitting in a unit of Huskarls. They got Bastion and +1 Resolve and Bravery from their Skeleton and their Thane. Got 5 stands, big brick, kind of hoping to be that anvil. You got an MSU of Ufnarls. They have a goatee, so they got Bless. They're just running around being a bloodlust stabby boys with 8 attacks. Then lastly, we got the Bear Sharks. They have a goatee as well, standard bearer. They're Bless, Cleave 2, line breaker, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage. They're Clash 3 with 5 attacks. That Bless can be used defensively on their Defense 3. The Resolve 5, it keeps them around a lot longer than you would suspect, because it's like, yeah, I did 12 wounds, and then the Resolve 5, and it's like, I did an extra 2 wounds, or something. Or sometimes you don't even get any of that, and it's like, sweet. So yeah, it's kind of it's a bit of a thing. These guys are pretty susceptible to cleave because they're defense 3, so if any cleave 2 attacks going into them, even if they're blessed of 1, it's like they're not going to get a huge ton out of it. Lastly, we got the Blooded's Warband. He's got the Horn of Harnjar and Crow and Marksmanship, so this just gives him a bunch of barrage. The Horn of Harnjar, what the heck does this do? Let's find out. Here we go. Regiment, the character stands currently attached to gains Rapid Volley. Rapid Volley hit rolls of 1 cause an additional automatic hit roll on the target. They don't benefit from any special rules. Sweet. If you roll 1, you do 2 hits instead of 1. He has 2 units of Stalkers. Both have standard bearers. Stalkers, I like this unit. Yeah, they're range 16, but they're barrage 3 and volley 3, so they're pretty accurate and they can justify running around and shooting. What I really like, because movement's really nice in this game. Being for volley 3, it's a lot easier to just justify moving and shooting, but if you can sit still and aim, you're also just going to be doing better. Next, we have 2 units of Bowchosen, volley 3 as well, barrage 5, range 14. Like, these guys easily can just move and shoot. Like, your barrage 5 with volley 3, you're getting 15 shots, probably going to be doing 8 of them. Then you got your price, like, was it precision shot? So 1s are smite, so you remove all the defense from your opponent. You're just going to be doing work with Bowchosen. Yeah, range 14 kind of sucks, but also VCI really powerful in their range 14. Just, you know, shoot, move off, like back up, move into range, shoot. Like, your volley 3, you can get away with it. Like, you don't need to like take aim and shoot with them. And once the lines are met and the infantry are all fighting, and you have an angle, sure, just take aim and shoot into your opponent. Get those more shots. Get into effective range of 7 if you really want to. Bowchosen, really good. 5 wounds each, defense 2, evasion 1. Like, they're more survivable than you think, and this is a really good unit. So, I do like his list. He's got a lot of shooting. What he kind of peppers me with and kind of tries and forces bad trades because I don't want to go into his quality shooting because I have quantity shooting and he has quality, but I don't have good quantity because I don't have a ton of range guys. I only have like 3 range guys, and his shooting just kind of outshoots me if they want to go toe-to-toe, and I don't really want to go toe-to-toe with him. So I'm going to slow his rules. We'll get into the scenario we played and the table and start the game. Let's go look at the scenario. Here I am playing Breakout today. We have a friendly ejector marker on your left side, right there, and my opponent's enemy ejector marker is on my right. We got 3 9-inch zones just kind of hanging out here. And for scoring, players gain 3 BPs for destroying an enemy ejector marker during a round. They gain 2 BPs for each ejective zone they are seizing. You gain an additional 1 if you're seizing 2 or more. And you get 2 BPs if you kill the enemy warlord. You cannot score that more than once per game. At the end of rounds 1 through 4, or 9 through 10, you gain an additional VP for seizing the ejective zones on the sides of the battlefield. And at rounds 5 through 8, you gain 2 additional VPs if you are seizing the center ejective zone. Oh, so you can go up to 3. I didn't even read that properly. Maybe I did the math wrong in scoring, but that's okay. I'll have a relook at it, and maybe we'll find out in editing if we messed up the score at all. But that's really it. I think I've talked about this one before, where it's very similar to how you kind of play Maelstrom. You can't control the center until you kill one of those 2 objectives. So a lot of players will kind of, I want to say, like, run up and grab the side. Maybe not this side. I think, here, let me undo that. I think they'll grab this side. So if this is me, I should grab my right side. And then I should swing around to go kill this ejector marker and then control the middle. So this is kind of what I want. I want these 2 zones, kill the ejector marker. I can easily move stuff between the 2, and if I just hold on those 2 zones, I'll kind of outscore my opponent to win, and I can kind of flank around to do that side. Because you get 2 points for the middle, because you score additional 2. So if you take 2 zones, you gain 2 points for each zone, so you get 4 if I would take those 2 zones, and then I would gain additional for seizing 2, so I'd be up to 5. And if it was a turn I took a side, I would get 6, and if it was a turn you take the middle, I would get 7. So yeah, you I feel like you really want to control the middle and one of the sides, and just kind of push your opponent off to the other side and just leave them there with it, because then you'll just outscore your opponent, and that's really all it is. I've talked about this one before. I really don't have much more to say. It's kind of just, if you can take the middle and a side, you're probably in a really good spot. If you can take both sides, you're in a really good spot, but you really need to look at it and see what you can grab for two zones. If you can take 2 zones, you're in a really good spot, and your opponent's not going to be kind of catching up with you anytime soon. Don't spread yourself, I want to say, too thin. I feel like even though you're going to be giving up something, maybe have something in your list that can just play interference. So if my opponent kind of runs up here, grabs this zone, I've grabbed the opposite, we're battling in the middle for this, maybe I got something that can just like run up and get in the way and just kind of stall them out for a turn or 2. And you kind of see that in this list, or not this list, this game. Kind of that developing naturally of how we're trying to outplay each other to score to win. So let's go with the table, and I'll talk about terrain. Here's the table we played on today. I'm just gonna circle. There's my zone. Well, not my zone, my objective. It's so weird. They call them like ejective zones and ejective markers, and it just like gets boggled in my head. And then, we got the 3 red circles there. Those are ejective zones. For terrain, we got, what is this? Not hindering. I think this is obscuring, and it's either broken or dangerous. So basically, you move through it. You take, you have to roll a d6, and for every 6 per stand, you take a wound. So every stand who moves through it, roll a d6 after you've done your move, and roll to see if you take damage. That's it. Not huge. And that's on all these forests. I think it's broken, what it's called. I'm not exactly sure. It's just kind of interchangeable to me at this point. Then we just have broken here. See if you go through that as well. I think this might be the charge version of it. Also not 100% sure. I kind of played this game about 5 days ago, and now I'm finally doing the battle report, so my memory might be a little fuzzy. Then we got 2 size 3 buildings right there, obscuring, obstructing, and we got the -1 clash water right there, and that's kind of fine. we have this huge open area here in the middle, but it kind of sucks because we got a bit of line of sight blocking terrain. What's good? We got some move stands through it and get hurt terrain, also good. But the big one, what kind of makes this middle position not the greatest, is actually the objectives themselves. And I realized that early on, and I immediately start gunlining for the objectives to get rid of them as quickly as possible, so I can open up more center space to start getting my big bricks through and start doing some work. The zone on my right here is actually pretty open for me to get stuff in. Here, I'll just circle it in this orange. Like, this is all really easy for me to get stuff in there. However, my opponent has to deal with this house, so they're kind of restricted to like this. Just drew that box, so they're really only going to be getting one regiment in there, while I have more ways to kind of tow it and touch it and still project outward from that side towards the middle, what's really good. However, the opposite happens to me on the left, where my opponent has really good control. Let's not use that color. This one. Here we go. My opponent has really good control on that side, while that house blocks me from really getting like a huge ton of stuff in there to kind of contest and work on that zone. And I don't mind the symmetricness of the scenario like that, and it's now more like, who can pull it off better, who's thinking about it, what do you have in your list to go deal with it. So key things I'm noticing right away is that I'm going to have a better side on the right zone. I need to kill that objective to start getting things through it, because that's how I'm going to get my bricks through, is once that objective is gone, I can start pushing stuff forward. The left zone, I'm kind of thinking there, and I'm like, well, I got Household Knights, maybe I'll just throw some Household Knights at it and see what happens. Like, that was kind of my thought process, and it's bad. I'll admit, it was bad. So, yeah, I kind of, looking at the table right off the bat, I already have a game plan of what I'm going to do to try and outscore my opponent and win, and that's really just capture these two zones. Done. All right, let's go look at turn 1. Here's turn 1. My opponent flanks on both stalkers. He auto gets on a bow chosen, fails a roll on the other bow chosen. So it's like, okay, he's got 3 of his shooty regiments. For myself, I bring on the militia bowmen. I get 3 out of my 4 other lights, so I just choose all the more crossbows, and I just keep the Thieves Priest and militia back. I was thinking of bringing the Thieves Priest out. So after I played the first Hedgehog list, I went back and I talked to Ben, and we were talking and kind of like things I liked, things I kind of did bad, stuff like that, and just analyze it more to figure out what I can do better. And he was like, your Thieves Priest can be out on the table early on because he's a medium and a light, and you can kind of get points. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's fair. But in this one, the Thieves Priest and Militia are such a target for his quality shooting, and then Militia are just going to die, that I don't need them out right away because we're not going to be scoring anytime soon to begin with. It's like, why would I put the Militia and the Thieves Priest out to be shot to lose stands and effectiveness early when I can hold them back another turn, pair them up with Household Guard, and have both of them run up the field together to make my opponent's shooting less good because I'm giving them too many targets to focus on. And that was the idea there. So, initial things that happened, I think I end up going first, run up Militia, sweet. My opponent character draws, sweet. I then run up Merc Crossbows, sweet. My opponent starts running up Stalkers, sweet. I run up more Merc Crossbows, sweet. I believe he super marches up these Stalkers, because I know he gets the last card, but I think he does those guys, or he does the bow chosen. It really doesn't matter, but we're kind of playing chicken with each other, as you can see right off the bat. And I believe he runs those Stalkers last because he can get the Vanguard, and he can just like super run up because he knows where the rest of my shooting is. And I've kind of just run up all my shooting in a line right now. I'm looking to start getting stuff into melee. I'm starting to look at killing this objective. So I'm like, okay, well I got, 3 shooty guys over there. I should be fine. These Merc Crossbows on the left might be a misdeploy. Maybe I should have, had them over here more so I could get more shots into that objective, get into the woods. It was kind of like, He has better shooting than me. I don't want to lose stuff for nothing. And I was kind of thinking, well, I'll just put those guys there so they can just like kind of wander up and like shoot into stalkers here and do some damage. That's kind of my idea here, is that if I can put a serious dent into stalkers right away, I'll be in a good spot. Bow Chosen need to keep moving up. Militia Bowman can kind of get in the way of Bow Chosen, and then I can start working on that objective and making room for my big bricks that are going to be looking to come into like this area, because I want that objective dead so I can get both bricks through it at the same time. So with that, let's go look at turn 2. Here's turn 2. Things would happen. I get the Theist Priest with the Militia, I get the Noble Lord with the Household Guard, and I get both my Household Knights on the table. Sweet! This is actually doing really good for me. The only thing I have left is my Gilded Legion, and they're guaranteed come on turn 3. This is actually really good. My opponent gets, I believe, also everything except for the Bear Shark, so he gets his, Oofnarls, Huskarls, is that? Oh, and other unit of Bow Chosen. So, yeah. So things that kind of go on, I believe I win the roll-off. I walk up and I put some shots into these stalkers. I do a bit of damage, but they're still alive. Or, no, actually, did I? Yeah, so I think I did that. But also, my opponent with the stalkers. So I think the stalkers actually shoot the objective and then back up. And that forces my Merc crossbows to come forward and shoot at the stalkers. And I'm like, okay, whatever. That's fine. Then my opponent, he kind of draws some characters. And I'm like, okay. I'm already looking at moving around my range units because I want to make room for my bricks, because I need spots for the bricks. So I immediately move up my Merc crossbow, shoot into the objective, put a point of damage into it. My opponent, however, moves up the Bow Chosen, shoots into the Merc crossbows to put some damage into them. Not so great. Militia move up, put some damage in the objective. I'm like, sweet, it's down to 1 health. My opponent's down to 2. I can get rid of that objective, and then I can start getting my bricks forward to start blendering his whatever he's got over there. Really good. This unit of Merc crossbows kind of moves sideways. I was talking to Ben and he's like, rotate your regiments more. Try and get your opponent in the flank by rotating your regiment. So I'm like, okay, sure. So I rotate that regiment, make some room. He starts bringing up his Oofnarls, his Huskarls, his other unit of Bow Chosen. He's just looking to support his shooting units, because we're now kind of getting into that shooting off before the regiments start meeting. And I'm already getting pretty aggressive on the zone and everything. With that, I run up my Household Knights. They are looking to get into this zone right here, score it. They're currently safe to do so. There's a lot of action going on the rest of the table. Alright. My opponent then shoots with his Stalker unit into this Merc crossbow unit and then moves up so that I can't counter shoot, but also now he's scoring that zone. Not so good for me. However, I counter deploy some Household Knights, and I do a brick like that, like 2 in the front, 1 in the back, because I have the Gilded Legion still coming, and I haven't figured out where I'm going to put the Gilded Legion. So I just wanted to make sure. So I knew that the Household Guard would be going where they currently are. So, you know, they run up the table. I want them in the zone. They're the best bet to hold onto that zone and get some work done. And so I'm like, okay, sweet. I want to benefit the militia, who are going to kind of be that hard hitter if the Household Guard start getting into a protracted brawl. And if you notice, my Noble Lord is right beside, and his zone is now touching. Actually, I'm going to redo this. I will use orange. No, let's do purple. All right, use purple. His 6 inches of Best of Men are touching all 3 of those regiments. So now they're getting that defense bonus. They're benefiting from it, and I'm kind of looking at it where I'm like, yeah, you know, that's kind of where he wants to be. He wants to be affecting the most guys. So when I deployed this regiment, I moved them up. I stopped it, I looked at it, and I just swapped stands of where the Noble Lord was and that other side Household Guard was. I'm like, there we go, they're done. Because if before they even got to the table, I would have just swapped them anyway. So I already had them all set up, and I just swapped it right after they were done moving because it was easier. And I knew what position I was going to be in, and it was like, yeah, that's fine. But getting better on my Noble Lord placement. defending the other regiments. Cool. Militia running up where they currently are, mostly because once I get that objective down and the Household Guard in that zone, militia can kind of start sweeping in here, Household Guard can kind of start punching up, and then I can rotate this way to finish everything off. If that goes successfully, he's going to have to bring the Bear Sharks to counter, what means the right zone is going to be freed up for the Household Knights to just score it all game, and I can bring my Gilded Legion in. I'll use the orange gun. I can bring the Gilded Legion, you know, somewhere in here, being supported by those Household Knights. Over here, I believe we did a measurement check, and there's something, I forget what it was. I think I can still fit here. I gotta like finagle myself basically perfectly to get myself through here, but I can do it. But that's another spot where I was looking for my Gilded Legion, where it's kind of like, all right, I can come up that way. Then I got like 3 bricks going at the middle. I can blunder his entire army, and I now have control of the middle in one zone, and I don't really care what his other unit Stalker does. So there's thoughts right there. I think that's really it. This is like, we're all vying for positioning here and starting to make plays and plans. So one of the things I hate about Nords is evasion, and they got too much of it. I'm just not a fan of fighting against Nords. But anyway, you get to see some of my plans not work out. So let's go to turn 3, and I'll show you where plans don't work out, and some things actually do work out. Because I think I've kind of mentioned everything in here. So yeah, let's go to turn 3. Here's turn 3. So things that like go wrong right off the bat. I'm gonna make a green square right here. Boom. All right. So first off, I start activating my shooting regiment. So my opponent gets his Bear Sharks, I get my Gilded Legion. All right, everything's onto the table. So I start activating my shooting regiments, and I believe my opponent goes first. He moves up the bow chosen to where they currently are, and he shoots into the Merc Crossbows. So now the Merc Crossbows are down to 1 stand, and I'm like, ooh, that's not really that great. Gonna have a bad time, not liking it. I activate a unit of Merc Crossbows. I activate this unit right here. They shoot at the objective. I get 1 hit. My opponent makes a save. Objective doesn't die. I'm like, oh, that really sucks. What am I going to do? I didn't take aim because I need the Merc Crossbow to move. So, okay, well, I just move him where he currently is, kind of out of the way, kind of being in the way, protecting the flank of the brick. I'm like, okay, well, that's a smart move. Because I want him to hit the Merc Crossbow and kill it first so I can, you know, get stuff going on the brick. He uses these stalkers. He shoots at his objective. So his objective is somewhere in that mush ball right over there, and I'll explain that one in a bit. I'll just put a line. So objective's around there. So he activates the stalker, shoots it. Okay, now it's down to 1 wound, and I'm like, all right. Next, I have the militia go. They go up to here. They shoot into this objective right here. They're not exactly there, but you get the idea. You know, they move up. They shoot into the objective. 3 hits. Opponent saves them all, and I'm like, okay, can you please stop? And he's like, no. And I'm like, all right, what's your next move? And he's like, bow chosen. Shoot the militia and kill them. Okay, they're dead. And I'm like, oh, this really sucks. What's my next card? It's more crossbows. Okay, well, what am I going to do? I need to kill that objective to get anything done. Well, the only one left that can really do anything to get there, this regiment over here hasn't moved yet. So they're the one on the left there. They haven't moved yet, but they will be. So this left side unit kind of wiggle, finagle, gets 1 stand in range, shoots it. My opponent rolls a 5. It's dead. Get my points. Move on with my life. Okay, sweet. It's good. It's dead. My opponent then starts activating his Huskarls, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm going to charge my objective. And I'm like, okay. So he jumps his own unit and charges his objective. And I'm like, okay. Impact attacks kills the objective. I'm like, all right, well, his Huskarl's got to go kill that Merc Crossbow, but he has bow chosen to kill that Merc Crossbow. Household Guard are kind of there, and I'm like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, what should I do? I'm like, well, it's a Theus Priest next. Theus Priest is going to cast the +1 defense spell onto the Household Guard. And I'm like, sweet, okay. There it is. That token means +1 defense. I'm like, all right, well, they're defense 4. If anything kind of keeps happening to them, not super worried. Next, I'm like, militia. They move over a bit. because my opponent runs his Oofnarls up, hops the Bow Chosen, and I'm like, well, he can go hit the Merc Crossbows, but then he's going to be hit in the side by a bunch of militia, who I'm probably going to bless, and I'll kill them, hopefully. So it's kind of like, you know, we're making plays and counter plays. Household Guard are just kind of still sitting here, hanging out, being Household Guard. And they're kind of like, well, what's next? Well, let's go on with the Household Knights. Household Knights get into the zone. Sweet. Scoring them points. It's on the right there. His unit of Stalkers move up, shoot from where they currently are into my Household Knights. Next Household Knight card goes. I just March Charge into them. I'm in the water. -1 clash, do a bit of damage, nothing crazy, and I'm like, well, he has 3 stands to my 2, and I'm, you know, it's kind of like, fuck, like, I'm not contesting the zone. I'm kind of moving in because I'm getting shot. I need to stop him from shooting. The Blooded, however, is going to kill House of Knights next turn. But I'm like, well, that's shooting and stuff that the Blooded needs to go deal with, so I don't have to worry about that zone, and I know he's going to have it anyway. And then I draw my Household Guard card, and I'm like, what am I going to do? And I kind of take a moment and look at it. So my Household Guard, I'm just going to put orange. Here's an H. Are right there. Ish. And I'm kind of like, I start making measurements, and I'm like, okay, well, the Huskarls are only like 4 inches away. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, I can get to them. I can get to the Huskarls. And before all this, the unit of Merc Crossbows over here, that is terrible. I'll just circle that in orange. Just did a March Charge into the side of the Huskarls to pin them, because I didn't want them like running off, and I wanted him to waste his Bow Chosen shooting into those 1 or 2 stands of Merc Crossbows. You know, I just rally and charge in, and it's fine. But once I get to the Household Guard, I look at it and I realize, wait a minute, I can actually get into the Huskarls. Yeah, they're defense 4, but if I hit them with enough attacks, I'm gonna start killing a lot of stuff. So I immediately declare a charge, roll, re-roll, get in, do a bunch of damage, kill off his back stands. I now have like 5 scoring stands to his 3, and now I'm scoring that middle zone. So I'm like, okay, sweet. Now I'm in a fight with his Huskarls. Household Guard will win that fight. This is going to go really well, and then I can have the Household Guard punch through in the middle and kind of disrupt his center and start killing off his range guys. Alright, sweet. We have a plan. And my opponent moves his Bear Sharks over here because he's thinking like, okay, I can hold off the middle here. Household Knights on the left is probably going to be his fight. He's going to win. I'll just circle them. Just because of the Blooded. And my Household Knights are in the water, so that really sucks. His shooting can probably hold off long enough. He needs to look for another scoring option. So he's moving up those Bear Sharks towards the right side zone. Well, initially I was kind of looking at moving my Gilded Legion brick right here, but now they can't fit because of the Household Guard. They're like in the way too much or something like that. I forget exactly what it is, but I'm like, not really that great. Putting them over here behind the Household Knights on the left, not really great because my opponent can just decide to stop attacking them, and I'm Clash 1, Inspiring to 2, like, I'm just going to have a bad time trying to kill them, and my Gilded Legion needs to start getting work done. Like, I need them not to be doing nothing, I need them to be doing work. So it's like, okay, you got your Bear Sharks over there on the right, I'm going to counter deploy my Gilded Legion on the right. And that's what I do. So if the Gilded Legion get into that zone and fight Bear Sharks, this will be a stabby battle. I have Household Knights to try and get the, get like the charge or counter charge off first to kind of hold them back. So, you know, work can happen and things can be done. Sweet. But I do score 2 zones to his 1. Plan's coming along. Let's go to turn 4 and see. Let's see what this Nords player is really going to do to me. And here's turn 4. So, things that happen first. My opponent activates his Huskarls, who used to be here. They attack into Household Guard. Household Guard, you know, make a bunch of defense rolls. Household Guard get off some resolve, and they're basically fine. Household Guard just clash with 4s rerolling 6s from all the buffs and kill the Huskarls. Then they charge into the Stalkers. Stalkers fight back. you know, do a little bit more damage, but it's okay. I have a stand in the back there, still scoring that zone. Bow Chosen, they just rotate, kill off that stand. These Bow Chosen kill off that stand of our crossbows. Oh, you know what? That's done in the wrong color. Let me... Here. There's my one stand of Merc Crossbow. Bow Chosen, shoot and kill it. My other stand of Merc Crossbows. Bow Chosen, shoot and kill it. I'm like, okay, sweet. On the right there, my opponent's Oofnarls, who are here, charge into my Merc Crossbows before they could shoot. Not the greatest. I'm like, okay, well, you kind of set yourself up to be my militia trap, so I'm really excited for that. Eventually, because I kind of keep the Theist Priest and Militia lower on the stack, just because I want to see what everyone's doing, so they can, you know, use Elysium Fragment properly. I can kind of figure out where I want to cast spells better, and so I'm like, all right, Theist Priest, you need 3 successes with 6 dice on rerolling 2 fails to get a bless off on the Militia. Do you do it? Nope. Well, Militia's card's next. I just charge into the Oofnarls and do some damage, and this, what is it? I don't think I take any damage from the train. I think one of the Lethal Demise kills one of the Militia, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, who cares? But now they're getting stabbed in the side. They do have Resolve 4, but they're rerolling successes, so, you know, I'll kind of get some stuff in there. They got Blast, but they're also Defense 2, so, you know, just weighted dice I can probably break through, and that's kind of what my plan is right there. These Priest Militia should be able to take care of these Oofnarls. Sweet. On the left, I use the Household Knights, clash into the Stalkers, they kill a stand, sweet, really surprised. Stalkers clash back, kill a stand and do some damage, sweet, not that surprising. You know, maybe the dice will go in my favor and I can win that fight, yay! Like, you know, it's kind of one of those. On the right side, we kind of play cat and mouse a little bit, like a little bit of chicken. I eventually move my Household Knights like this, trying to get them over more closer to the side of the board, giving me some space for my Gilded Legion. My opponent runs his Bear Sharks to basically be parallel with the house, so I can't get around with my Gilded Legion if I want to declare a charge. I need the Household Knights out of the way first, but he can't really get to me either, so it's just a whole big problem of like, what are the Household Knights going to do? We gotta find out what the Household Knights are going to do before anyone gets there. However, I have more stands in that zone, so I score it. That's really it for turn 4. Not as exciting as turn 3, but also now we're kind of getting into that later parts of the game to figure out who's going to really start scoring stuff. My opponent on the left here scores that once again, but as I mentioned, I'm scoring 2 of the zones. I'm going to be up in points. Oh, also I killed his Warlord. His Jarl was with the Huskarls, and I killed those guys last turn, so I get Warlord points. Yeah, that's turn 4. Let's go on to turn 5 and see if my opponent starts kind of bringing it back, because right now he's on a really good spot because 2 out of my 3 Hedgehogs are active, and the 3rd one's going to be active for sure next turn. So here's the next turn. Things that go wrong. Well, there's things that go wrong and things that go right. I put more emphasis on my Gilded Legion Militia blocks than I do my Household Guard, and I probably should have put more emphasis on my Household Guard. So my opponent activates Bow Chosen, shoots into Household Guard, I take it. I charge in with my Household Knights onto his Bear Sharks, do some damage. Sweet. Next, Bow Chosen, shoot into the, Household Guard. You know, they're kind of just doing reforms and shooting. Okay, Household Guard taking some damage. What was it? Militia, Theist Priest. Cast Bless on the Militia. Still fail because my dice roll were just like, nope, you're not getting 3 successes. I'm like, okay, great. Lastly, my opponent's Stalkers attack the Household Guard, and as you can see, my Household Guard went from like a ton of stands down to 2 with the character, and I'm no longer scoring the middle zone. Not the end of the world, but still kind of sucky. At that point, I believe I activate my other... I believe I activate the Militia. They kill the Oofnarls. So just, you know, Spire Clash, kill them all, take some damage back, and you can see I've lost the stand back here. Okay, not the end of the world. So, Militia and Theus Priest can start making their way around over to the middle and start kind of cleaning up these Bow Chosen. Yay. Bear Sharks, on the other hand, they activate, they kill all the Household Knights. Gilded Legion get drawn, charge into the Bear Sharks, kill them all. Sweet, I'm scoring that zone. Nice. My opponent, he activates the Stalkers with the Blooded, kills my last 2 Household Knights right here, scoring that zone. Nice. So now we're kind of tied up, and we're kind of looking at scoring and what we need to win. So my opponent is probably going to kill my Noble Lord Warlord next turn with his Bow Chosen, what's going to get him 3 points, and we're going to kind of be tied up again. However, I'm going to have 2 scoring units to his 1, so if I can kill the Blooded or take over 2 zones for a while longer, I can kind of score to win. And my opponent's looking at that and he's realizing that he doesn't have very many scores in his list and scores left on the table. So let's go to, I believe it'll be turn 6 next, and see if I can kind of start killing off his range elements with what I got left and still score to win. So I forget who gets the roll off. I don't know if I do or my opponent does. I don't really recall, or it doesn't really matter. I believe my opponent activates his Stalkers, kills the Household Guard, and they're dead. And I'm like, oh no, they're dead. What in the world? I cast a Theus Priest. He puts a +1 defense buff on himself. I think that's what that symbol is supposed to mean. Or it's blessed, either or. Maybe I get a bless off. The Bow Chosen here, they just reform. Them reform actually gets them back into my front arc, what's really nice. He shoots me. Alright. I then declare a charge, get into him. And all the militia just kill all the Bow Chosen. Sweet. The Theus Priest stand is not in the zone, so I'm not scoring it. Not so good. My opponent then takes his Blooded, runs him over to this Bow Chosen unit, and then he has the Bow Chosen unit wheel and then like double march, and he's almost in the zone. And I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. And then with that, my Gilded Legion just kind of rotate and march this way, because I can still kind of like keep my tail into that zone, and then if I need be, I can, you know, charge into the middle zone and kill off his last scorer, and then the game is done, like, you know, close the game and win. And that's really turn 6. We're kind of getting into the dregs of it, and it's really going to come down to turn 7 if he can kill my Militia and Theus Priest, or if I can kill his Blooded. Because if I can kill his Blooded, he can't score, I win the game. If he kills the Militia and Theus Priest, he's still in the game, and I got to do more work with just the Gilded Legion. So let's find out if I kill his Blooded. Here's turn 7. I believe I win the roll-off. I've reformed the Militia to look that way. And then I just roll the charge, because I'm March 6. I think I needed like a 3 with a reroll, and I get it. So I'm in there. My opponent then activates his Bow Chosen, who are not in the zone because he was just on the edge of it. Attack the Militia, do a bunch of damage. I draw the Theus Priest, and I Kamehameha his ass with a Holy Fire. I rolled my 6 dice, failed 1, re-rolled into another hit, did 12 Holy Fire damage into him. My opponent rolls his defense, fails all of them but except for 1, takes 11 damage, Resolve kicks in, kills off the entire regiment. So with that, his Blooded dead. I'm still scoring both zones. My opponent calls it there. So that was kind of like a really close game. My opponent uses his Stalkers and Bow Chosen really well throughout the game. The longer Bow Chosen survive, the more work they do, just because of how good their shooting is. I don't know if I should have like tried to get them sooner or try to position myself. I was really trying to get my kind of like my bricks in his face, because once the bricks got there, they were doing work, but once the Household Guard kind of ran past, they were getting shot up in the side. I had nothing to follow up because he was pushing into me, so that kind of sucked. So, you know, it's kind of like, hey, you gotta defend it, but you don't. Or, well, sorry, you have to defend it, but I just had nothing around to defend it with, and he was just picking off stuff that would, so it's kind of like, ugh, this is sucking. But I held on long enough to to kind of outscore him and get that all done. Let's go to the end score. Here's the end score. You can see over here I got 25. My opponent got 14. We ended on turn 7. So yeah, I'm just going to continue from what I was talking about earlier about the game. Some mistakes I think I made was that the left side household guard, or not household guard, left side household knights probably didn't need to be there. I probably could have put them in the middle on the left side, on the other side of that house, and then I could have just like ran up and kind of helped out the household guard brick. The right side Guild Legion household guard worked out well enough, or sorry, not household guard, household knights. They worked out well enough. Household Knights died, Guild Legion killed. If the Household Knights still lived, I would have just kept them back there and scoring and just, super ran the Gilded Legion over. Didn't get to use Elysium Fragment. Not the end of the world. There's really nothing to use Elysium Fragment on against my opponent. Not, looking for 3 successes with 6 dice and 2 rerolls. Missing those twice in a row kind of sucked, but it happens. It's a dice game. Militia kind of pulling through. You have to kind of keep your militia safe so that they can do work, because a lot of the time people just kind of run them up and they just get like picked off or chipped at, and now their like offensive capabilities really diminish at that point. So keeping them alive as long as possible is kind of the nice thing to do. Household Guard and Guild Legion are the ones who can kind of take a punch on the chin, and they did that job. I kind of wish I protected my Guild Legion a little better. I didn't really want to sit. Like, I wanted to sit on the zone, so maybe I should have just sat on the zone more and just took the shots, but I also wanted to, keep pressuring my opponent because I had to follow up with the Theus Priest to score that zone. And killing his shooting elements would have put a really big damper and hit into him. So going for that Bow Chosen is never a bad choice, I find, just because they're so good. As for my opponent, I think he did really good on the left side there with the Stalkers and Blooded, keeping that locked down. I think he maybe should have played the range game a little longer. He knew I was coming for him, and that if he did play the range game longer, I probably would have been more aggressive in his face and pushed him out of the zones. But he had the range advantage, and maybe he could have dragged it out by like kind of pulling me closer to him and then attacking, because he didn't use surprise attack at all this game. And I also didn't really give him a huge amount of opportunities. He could have done it with the Bow Chosen, but he was finding the smite attacks were better than just charging into the side, what I agree with. Bear Sharks are really good. I do think you kind of have to treat them like another brick. They do need support. He didn't support them, and I was like, here, eat horse, and he ate horse. And then I was like, here, eat Gilded Legion. He couldn't eat Gilded Legion and died. So, it's kind of one of those, like, I just had more stuff on that side and killed him. Overall, a good game. Hope everyone enjoyed themselves. As for plugs, BonkTable now has an Instagram. I will put that in the description below. Or a Twitter. I think it's a Twitter. I don't know. I don't think we have an Instagram. I think we have a Twitter. I'll talk to Cass. I'll figure it out. But it'll be in the description below if you want to follow Cass on that. We got a YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. You can comment, all that stuff. We got podcasts if you want to listen to more of us chatting with a bunch of stuff. And yeah, we got Discord. That's another big one. So if you want to join the Discord, I'm totally blanking. Why am I blanking? What the heck is it? Link for that is in the description below. Done. Did it. See? There we go. And yeah, thanks for watching or listening or enjoying this. I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.